We're back this morning, and the House Oversight Committee is taking its hearing on the road this morning. Members are in Brooklyn, New York, addressing the housing crisis and what the FHFA needs to do to provide relief to homeowners. Here now with a preview, Elijah Cummings, ranking member of the Oversight Committee. And good morning to you, Congressman. Thank you for being with us.
Good morning.
You effectively are trying to push the head of the FHFA to resign should he not change his position and try to help homeowners. Is that a fair way to think about what the role of the FHFA should be?
Well, it's his job. It's his job to help homeowners, and it is his job to help taxpayers as the conservator, basically, of Freddie and Fannie. And you got to keep in mind, we did not come to this conclusion lightly. I've had at least 3 meetings with Mr. DeMarco. Members of Congress, some 18 or 19 of us, have asked him to move forward with regard to some reforms that would be helpful, like such as principal write-down. And while he has initially he said he didn't have the authority, we showed him in the law where he had the authority. Then he changed and basically said he wouldn't do it. And so all we're saying is that we think that that's what will bring maximum benefit, not only to homeowners, but also the taxpayers.
Good morning, Congressman. Your old friend and colleague, Harold Ford, I hope you're well. It's good to see you in New York.
Good seeing you.
You were explaining there, and I hope you just elaborate a bit, your position. I think there's maybe some in the business community that might not understand why you're asking a regulator to resign because he doesn't agree with you. Your point around housing is he has this responsibility and this role, and he's not fulfilling it. What has his response been to this, and where do you see this going here in the next 2 weeks as you get closer to a decision around what he does or what he doesn't do?
Well, basically, keep in mind, we met with Mr. Marco a number of times, and his initial response, again, was that he didn't have the authority to write down principle. And what I think has frustrated us most is that he has basically done what I call a rope-a-dope on us. He would come into a meeting and said, I'm going to try and I'm going to do some things to help help all of these 3.7 million people who stand in the way of in the path of possibly being foreclosed upon. And then the next thing you know, he comes back with some lightweight proposals, the kind of proposals that help very few of these homeowners. And basically, and then we sent him a letter here recently, Harold, where we showed where a whistleblower had come to us and said, look, they had a principal write-down proposal in 2010 that they were about to launch, but then based upon philosophical differences, quote unquote, they decided to pull it back. Well, obviously, they were prepared to move forward with such a proposal. And it's our belief that a principal reduction program would keep people in their houses, allow them to make mortgage payments, and save communities, save the tax bases of various states and cities, and would be better than Fannie and Freddie allowing these folks to be foreclosed upon. Also, keep in mind that the Attorney General's recent settlement is one which has principal reduction as a part of it, and those attorney generals are both Republicans and Democrats, and obviously they came to the conclusion that it was a good thing. But when they asked Mr. DeMarco to include Fannie and Freddie housing in it, he said no. And so keep in mind, too, that 60% of all the mortgages are under Freddie and Fannie. So we just think he could do better. We don't think that he has been always candid with us, and that concerns us also.
Congressman, good morning. Gary Kaminsky here. Let me just touch another topic with you. The op-ed last week written by a vice president at Goldman Sachs, which was very public in terms of his resignation, reasons why, you opted to put out a press release after that op-ed essentially saying this is what's wrong with Wall Street, many of the same things continue. Why did you put that press release out? And obviously you've got some strong thoughts on it. Why'd you do that?
Well, again, you got to keep in mind, I've been fighting this fight for a long time. And this is a kind, and we had, as the press piece said, we have bailed out these kinds of organizations to the tunes of billions of dollars. And it seems, and it's my firm belief, just based upon what we found out in the Oversight and Government Reform Committee and the research that we've done and listening to the various folks that have investigated all of this, that there's probably a lot of truth to what the young man said when he wrote his op-ed piece. And I was just saying that we have got to make sure that we move back to what he said. We've got to have high ethics, because our people, that is those people who are involved in the market, deserve to have the very, very best representation, and representation that is for not only for the benefit of the company, but mainly for the benefit of those who seek to engage.
Congressman, it's Ross Westgate here. I just want to go back to just the FHFA. Is there any time when the regulator shouldn't? I mean, you regard its job as to keep people in their homes. When should the regulator not be doing that job? Well, I think that clearly I think that's his job. Period. I think he has to also, by the way, But is there any point at which time actually that is not the job, when actually they do need to foreclose?
There are times where they need to foreclose, but you got to understand that we are only, the regulator right now is only touching a fraction of the housing, and as I kept in of the houses, and keep in mind that we're talking about 60% of all mortgages coming under Freddie and Fannie. That's what concerns me. In other words, I have not seen enough action on the part of Mr. DeMarco. He could do better. I'm not saying that there's certain people that maybe they went into these deals with expectations that were very unreasonable, not being foreclosed upon. But you got to keep in mind that a lot of these people, as a matter of fact, quite a few, are folks who, through no fault of their own, have seen themselves go underwater, their housing go underwater. It wasn't their fault. It's basically the way the economy is. People have lost their jobs. And, by the way, foreclosures are up. Therefore, property values go down. Therefore, neighborhoods, the value of houses in neighborhoods go down. Therefore, we have folks underwater. Right. So we can do better. Our country is better than that. Romney has said, basically, let the market bottom out. Well, there are people who are looking at this program right now who are saying, look, you saved the banks, you lifted them up, we are drowning, help us.
Congressman, we're going to have to leave it right there, but thank you for joining us. Good luck with the hearings today. Elijah Cummings, thanks again.
Thank you.
Coming up,